Welcome all. So thank you for participating in our webinar about design thinking and legal project management using the case of contract design as a use case. We are happy you join us, and before we start, we'd like you to give you a brief introduction of the participants of this webinar. So let's start with Carla. Ladies first. Carla.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name's Carla Schlepfer. I am a design thinking facilitator and coach. And we thought to introduce ourselves with our titles, but also to say something a little bit more personal, just to give it the personal touch, human-centered touch, which is an important part of design thinking. And what I'd like to share is that I really like art. And I have been inviting people to explore museums with me for the past 10 years. And it's a really cool thing to get people turned on, not only about new innovative ideas like we're going to do in this webinar, but with art. Roland, I believe that it's back to you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my name is Roland Jungenkrueger. I'm a legal project manager and I'm the CEO of Visorian company based in Hamburg. My personal point is I love electronic music. I like techno music and house music, and I like to dance to it. So I don't always look that serious today in this presentation. So, and with these words, I would hand over to Dominic.
Hi everyone, my name is Dominic Abrokvar, and I really give
Dominic, we lost you.
Cuisine or the kitchen is something I really like to spend time with, and I believe that that's the most important room in every apartment, and that's where decisions are being taken, with gathering and having friends and family around. This is something which really I'm happy of when doing something and creating something nice. Over to you, Dirk.
Hello to everyone. My name is Dirk Tauber. I'm a lawyer based in Hamburg, and private I'm what we so-called emotional coach at a amateur soccer club, so-called Comet Lagenese, and I like to be there and working for the players and the people around there.
Well, that's so cool. This is a relatively new webinar format that we're doing, and we are really so thrilled to have two open-minded lawyers with us today who are going to interact with a new type of exercise, and we're going to explore a business case that is something that many lawyers have difficulties with, which is taking steps with digital tools in order to do things in a new way, which is often more efficient. But we want to look at this way of getting there, getting to the point of working in a different way. Today, well, I think the next.
Yeah, you just one word. Yeah, just one word before we get into the topic. So if you have questions, please ask them directly in the chat. We have, of course, muted the microphones of the participants, and please be aware that this webinar is recorded. Then this is part of a webinar series. We want to make it available for everybody who's interested in the whole series, even if they miss one or more of the webinars. That's why we record this meeting, so and webinar. So just to let you know. Okay, Carla, I would like to say something about the approach and the purpose we have in mind in our 4-part webinar series. Carla and I met, I think, about more than 1 year ago, and since Carla is an expert for design thinking, I'm an expert for legal project management. And we found out that we have some similarities in some aspects in our approaches which support each other. So if we talk about design thinking and the approach, the human-centered approach Carla will introduce you to, this is something which is very important if it comes to developing solutions at the end, if it comes to gathering the requirements, if we talk about scope definition and so on, and to identify what the stakeholder needs, what their requirements is. And design thinking is a perfect approach to make the first steps which come to it, or which become effective later in a project management approach. So yeah, the roadmap of this webinar, I think, Carla, this is your part.
Yeah, thank you, Roland. Yeah, design thinking at the beginning of an innovation process. Here is our roadmap of the 4-part series that we're going to run this in the next several weeks. Today we want to look at understanding the challenge. We want to ask ourselves, what are our assumptions about legal contract design, and how can we question those in a way that we come to a better understanding of what the real points are, where are the issues, and how can we get aligned and get an understanding from everyone on the team, or today the 2 lawyers that are here. So that's our challenge for today, is to really understand the problem from different perspectives. Then the next workshop or webinar will be on understanding who has a stake and who is affected by this particular solution that we're trying to design. And we'll make a big picture of those that are involved on the stakeholder, and we'll make a map of that, of the entire environment. Then we'll actually dig in and do a little bit of research, design research with open-ended questions before we take that data that we've collected and look for insights and patterns and trends that will help us design a more human-centered solution based on the needs and motivation of the people that we've spoken with. So, how might we design easier and more user-friendly legal contracts? That's our overarching challenge for the webinar, as Roland said. And with the exercise today, we will look at how do we go about this? How do we ask ourselves questions so we can focus faster, get a better understanding and direction in problem solving? Next slide, please. Oh, that's me. Oh.
Yeah, you can start sharing my report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, man. Right. So, as I just mentioned, this is our overarching, our big picture challenge. How might we create a better user and easier digital experience for lawyers? And we're focusing in today on the idea of contract design. So we'll be looking at the front end here. This is an exercise called how-why laddering or abstraction laddering. We'll stick with the how-why laddering. And it's a template for asking and answering questions. So a kind of problem-solving technique. It's shared ownership. That is, I will facilitate, Roland and I will facilitate talking with Dirk and Dominic about their ideas and thoughts and views on this particular question. This was one, by the way, that we came up with after talking with both Dirk and Dominique. And what we heard was, too many lawyers have problems with digitizing contract design. We'll first ask a high-level why question before we narrow it down and focus on how questions. So, with that in mind, I will ask Dirk and Dominique, who would like to start? Who would like to give us our first, why is this the case? Why do too many lawyers have problems with digitizing contract design?
Oh, thanks, Carla, for this one. I think one of the very critical elements is the time component, right? Lawyers usually are conditioned to, work in a certain way, and it's very difficult to, change habits, because obviously the way they used to work or the way they work is kind of been successful. Otherwise, they haven't been there to become what they have been. Okay, so learning something new is, I think, a component which sometimes, it's not really, let's put it this way, the outcome of that wouldn't be very, very, very clear to them if it's not really, the results not really obvious, right? Why change the habit if you don't know what you get out of that right now? So I think that might be one piece to consider in the why. Okay.
Right. And if we stay with that idea, if it's not obvious, why isn't it obvious what the results are? What do you think there?
Yeah.
Because as I work as a lawyer, I have always to look about the costs also. If I know, if I will do it this way, I know it will cost me this amount. And if I don't know a new product or a new tool, I have to get used with the tool, and I'm not sure will it fit to me. Okay. Will it bring me an effect, or will it only bring a cost? And so it's very difficult to see the effort what a tool can bring me. And if I don't see it by the first
introduction,
it's very difficult. So it must be easy to use, and it must have everything I need.
Okay. Can we state this difficult to recognize? Maybe you can help me here. I'm not quite sure what you meant. We talked about
For example, did I need new hardware? Did I need a new software? How much will it cost that my employees can work with it? Did they need a special seminar to get used with this with the software and something like that? If my employees are working with a running system very good, why I should change the system?
I change the system. Okay.
So I think the topic Dirk is highlighting is the IT infrastructure already in place.
Within
a firm, within a law firm, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes even as more systems you use, they're not all the time communicating very well with each other, right? So this might be also, one component or one element why people are hesitant to, introduce new items, even though I believe from a technical standpoint, there are many solutions out there which could overcome that kind of obstacle. But there's from an intrinsic motivation just to say, oh my God, do I really want it? Do I really need it? And what is the benefit out of that? It comes always back to the point. What is the ultimately benefit out of that, going through this kind of exercise and using this kind of tool, because you might have to have the people also trained using that kind of thing. That is I think one aspect.
Absolutely. What is the benefit? I mean, that's not just only the why, but that's kind of like an overarching, again, a larger topic. What is the benefit? So I'm going to put that one over here, because that is actually, or we could say, how can we find a benefit? But let's stick here with this idea about the why. Why too many lawyers have problems with digitizing contract design. Could I hear some more views that you have, some more thoughts?
One thought is also data protection. I must be sure that every data I put in the system or software is protected, and nobody else can get it. Mm-hmm. So it's very important. If I'm working for a company and they say, no, this is very important that nobody else, or you get secrets from the company.
Right.
So it's very, very important that if I'm using a tool, I can write everything I need in the tool, but it must be also safe for me that nobody else can get the data without my permission. So.
Okay, and I'm going to ask what's going to sound like a really kind of stupid question. Why is that so important?
Because if you sell a company, it's important sometimes for the clients. It's important that nobody knows how much they pay for the shares or something like that. Or if you are selling if you're selling what kind of product you are selling, or how much. If you make a contract between two companies, or one company is buying something, a good, and that it must be clear that nobody else knows how much they will pay for one good. That's if I can get it very simple into the system, and somebody knows I'm using this tool, and they know, okay.
But I'm hearing that there's a competitive advantage. Is that what you're saying? Dominique, do you have something to say to that?
I mean, I think, competitive advantage could come into play, but I believe one of the why could also be that, in terms of not having the knowledge, lack of knowledge, admitting to not having the knowledge is also a component which lawyers not really comfortable to admit, right? This is what I will say, that this could be a part where it is not really, if you're not familiar with something and you need to ask for help, and this I think is not limited to lawyers in general in terms of professional, right? So the fact to be dependent on someone else and maybe not having control about the topic or subject is not something. It's not a nice feeling to have with them, and that is something I think that might be also an argument to think about.
Absolutely, lack of control as well. But I'd like to look at this why. I'll take it out of what you just said. Why is it difficult especially for lawyers to, for example, admit mistakes or talk about even learning from their mistakes? Why is that difficult? Where does that come from? Why is that so? Because that also has to do with the learning something new, because you can't learn something new unless you're willing to at least not know something, and you might fail. And that might also be a reason why people are hesitant to try.
Carla, I believe if you see the let's say the business environment, and if you see the type of work and the type of engagements lawyers are involved in, you will see that irrespective of business associations and companies or their background, many other legal background, even though they might not work as a lawyer. So this is something that I think this needs to take into consideration. The very long years of being in the university, and having I would say a good foundation of knowledge in education, and you might reach to a point where you think, after spending quite some time, I have a good solid knowledge, and it's very difficult to take additional things on, right? And
okay. So the why is there's so much knowledge in there that there's no room for more.
Yeah, I want to say no room for more, but let's say hesitancy, right? Hesitancy to say, you know what, should I take this one on top of that?
And it's not like, really?
And really, do I need it? What is the value add? And so, just guessing, So
okay. However, I mean, you're both in the position to actually kind of know this, right? So the business environment doesn't not promote new learning, is what I wrote. And we know sometimes the education could be a role. What about again this idea of trying new things? Because that's what it's also about when we're talking about trying new digital offering. Why is that? Could you kind of get some words to describe that?
The problem is you at the university you don't learn how to work in a job. You only learn how to solve cases and learn how to work, but you don't learn how to solve a real case and how to work with clients and how to speak to clients. And this is, you don't learn at the university. You learn it on the job later. You are not, if you become a lawyer, this means I have the first and the second Staatsexamen in Germany, but it doesn't mean that I was working for 10 or 5 or 2 years in the job. I have to learn. I start at 0 when I become a lawyer, and then I have to learn on the job how my job is working. It sounds funny, but this is the way it's working.
Okay.
You learn at the university. You learn the techniques how to solve cases, how to work with legal texts, but you don't learn how to communicate with a client and how, when it's not so easy, how to work with them, and it's so. You use the techniques you learn at the university, but at the university you don't learn if you study law, you don't learn to use digitalization tools. Right. You learned how to use, you can Word or something like this, and how to make a good presentation, but you don't learn how other things.
It's also, I mean, it depends on when the universities, because normally IT training is not necessarily part of what you learn as a lawyer. That's right. However, legal tech is becoming more and more not only useful but necessary, and there are new courses for lawyers that emphasize that more. Also, the mindset in terms of actually looking for solutions in alternative ways, which is what we're doing here right now. And I'd really like to, any more whys? Otherwise, I would suggest we go down to the house. Any more whys? Yeah.
Maybe one element to add on this one is, you know, the way, and I think that this applies also for Dirk, the way we started, we were using books, right? The very old-fashioned way. You know, there was nothing like, you know, iPad and kind of thing. And I think the next generation is maybe different. So you have to, you know, have them trained right from the beginning as early as possible, and then they will get more familiar, more comfortable using the kind of technology. At that stage of Dick and myself, I'm not saying we are very old, but it's like, it's a bit kind of late.
However, as we know about our brains, that we have very plastic brains, and in terms of learning, at any age we can learn new things. It's a question also of the effort that it involves, and also here what we were talking about. What is the benefit that you see the benefit of this? And that's why I think it's great that both of you are here with us trying this out. It's really, I think, shows that you are the bold lawyers, the next generation of baby boomers lawyers.
Oh, wow.
No. Oh, wow. Okay, it was supposed to be a compliment. How? So now we've looked at kind of the big picture here in terms of what are the components, what are the issues here, and the good thing about working with this type of a visualization board, as you can see, that it's very easy to then just throw things out there. Things were kind of slow because, of course, we were discussing and I was writing things down, but it's a good way of also getting everyone on the same page and also being able to really understand what other people think are important. If we take here at the, go now from the whys, and we go a little bit more narrow and look at the hows. So how could we, or what ideas do you have, how lawyers who have problems with digitizing contract design, what kinds of ideas or options can you think of for how it could be done in a better way?
It must be easy to use. Also, if I have an application for the smartphone, for example, and a client calls me and say, I need a contract for this or that, and I give only, I'm searching in the application for this kind of contract, and the application say you need this, and this, and they have points, and then I can have a visualization like this.
Right.
And I can, for example, for me, it's everything is green. I have it's done, and everything is red, or it must be done. For example, I have a visualization. Normally, I'm writing it down on the paper. And then I have 2 or 3 or 5 pages, and I know, and I make comment I've done it or not, but I have pages.
Okay, and what is, excuse me, Dirk, what is that? Okay, so you could see the pages, fewer steps, but what is it that really is really important for you?
I can see everything. If I use the sport, I can see what is done and what is not finished, or where is the problem, or which must be solved. Okay. And therefore, if I wrote it down on paper, it may be a great problem can be stand on side 3 or 4, but I'm working on side 1 or 2, and I will see it later. And by this way, I can see every problems, and I can
see everything at a glance. So you have an overview at a glance. Great. Okay. What are some other ways of let's say, considering other how options?
So one element is, of course, cost, right?
Yes.
So, lawyers are cost sensitive, and that's an element which has to be taken into consideration, whether this application or whether this tool is really expensive, or is it moderate, or is it also, accessible on other devices kind of element. So there are 2 elements. Number one is the cost component, as I said, and the second element is basically if I used different kind of devices and not maybe tailored to one specific manufacturer, would it still work, right? And so some use Android, some use Apple, so the other one use Samsung kind of thing. So
Linux
as well,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So I'm hearing different kinds of tool suggestions. What about the willingness to try something out? How can that be made easy to use, for example? Or how can that be, made the benefits so clear that people then spend time creating a certain kind of trust in a new solution?
So timing is, I think, also very important. Timing in that kind of sense that being trained on that application is an easy and quick fix without, going through a series of, training and kind of workshops. Yes. So that's if this can be done within the one exercise, and then everything is very intuitive, the way the tool works, I will think that might open, at least the attention to some of them to give it a try.
Okay.
User friendly, really lawyer user friendly kind of tool.
Okay, what is that? What is that lawyer user friendly? What does that mean? How does that make itself manifest?
It's difficult. I have a partner who he has no personal computer on his desk.
Okay.
He's only using Red, and that's what he's using. And the writing is done by a secretary. And everything, if he needs something out of the internet, he says, so the secretary, I need this. Can you look to find it in the internet? But he doesn't use the internet by himself, for example. Okay, well, but it's an old partner.
It's an old partner.
Yeah, okay. this is different. This is different. It depends on the age. If the younger lawyers, they are used to use a laptop or a personal computer, and for them it will be easy to learn new things on a personal computer. And for the older lawyers, it's not so easy, and they must see there's an effort if I use it, or if I can maybe print out what my secretary has done. But there must be a benefit, and it must be easy to use for a lawyer. It sounds funny, but it's.
What about knowledge sharing? How can knowledge sharing be part of either the training, or how would you like to see knowledge sharing actually make itself known in your company?
For me, it's important. That's the reason why I used to have a chamber with other lawyers, because if I have a problem, I can go to them and talk to the problem, and maybe he has the case and he can give me a solution.
Okay, that's
talking is, for me, it's very important to talk to other lawyers if I have a problem. They have no idea how can I solve it, and if you talk to another lawyer, maybe he knows the solution, or you will find about in the.
How can this be also made into more of a standard way of working? For example, of course, within colleagues that works, but for example, knowledge sharing within departments, if we're talking about in-house legals.
Yeah.
Any ideas, Dominic? The setup is different, Carla. Every and I think there are, and I think the major law firm, they are going towards digitalization. This is not something that it's very new from them. But when we talk about the majority of them, right, they are not yet there. And I believe there some companies that do have kind of learning campus, e-learning kind of platforms where they used to come and connect with each other on a regular basis. And I think it's a problem where companies do not have this kind of IT infrastructure on a large scale. That's where the knowledge sharing piece is becoming very difficult. And I think knowledge sharing this is happening, but I'm not quite sure whether it's consistently happening via IT application or digital tools kind of thing. It's rather more the old-fashioned way where there's a team meeting and it could be even international where information is shared and on a constant basis.
Okay, that's not necessarily then in a more standardized or a systematic way. Is that what you were saying with the how?
This is driven, I believe, by every company. Every kind of company's value, every kind of company's the way they want to educate the people on this topic. But systematically, across all the legal community, and I think across even from the let's say from the setup of where the lawyer is embedded into. I haven't seen it yet. No, this is something piece.
Okay.
But so let's see. I think there's a trend happening, and I believe that if you see, for instance, the legal revolution is a kind of platform where you really see that the environment is changing, but it's a pace issue, I believe, that what you see there on the kind of activities happening on that events is certainly not which applies across the legal community. That's what I will say.
Right. Maybe they are the pioneers in that way, using IT
yes,
and other
for sure. For sure.
Yeah, legal tech tools, and that's a good way to talk about that also. And we'll see when the others then start to pick up the pace, as you said. This is really interesting, and I definitely could ask a lot more questions, but our time is running out. At least we're getting towards the end. I'd like to ask you to tell me. I have a number of smileys here up in the corner. I think you can see them. And since you're not on the Miro board, could you tell me where each of you has 2 smileys? Where do you think are the ideas, thoughts, or options that would have the most impact as we continue on our journey to create a better user and easier digital experience for lawyers? What are the most important ideas that we've mined here? Don't think too hard. I know you're both lawyers, but don't think too hard. So I have a smiley. Where should it go?
Cost awareness.
Cost awareness. Thank you.
I think what is the benefit here?
Yeah.
What's the benefit? Okay. Okay. Another why?
I hardly can see your screen, seriously.
Thank you for telling me.
This is not obvious results, for sure.
So not knowing what the results are of using digital tools. And one more.
Time component.
Yeah, time
component.
Interesting. The first Y's have all the smileys. Okay. Now let's look down at here, the hows. We'll take 2 hows. I'm going to go up and make the board easier for everyone to read. Where should I put the smileys?
So, must be easy to use.
Yeah. Intuitive, user-friendly.
Okay, intuitive and user-friendly.
Intuitive, yeah, user-friendly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Any last comments? Anything that either of you would like to add to this?
Not from my side. It was fun to join.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. We have a poll that we're going to go back to. Roland's going to take us back to the main screen to our poll, and then we're going to ask our our visitors how they might use this exercise. Roland, if you want to take us back, I can stop sharing.
Yeah, each of you should already see the poll. Therefore, Carla, maybe you might introduce the question and
okay, thank you. I don't see the poll, but do you see the poll, Dominic? And
yes, I've already,
okay.
submitted all my votes already in this.
Oh, you already had your votes and the others? Okay. There is just one thing.
So you can't see it, Carla? But
no, not yet.
Not the others. Okay. So so the question is, how could you use why and how exercise to approach problem solving in a different way? So that is the main question. So taking away what you heard and saw during this conversation and this dialogue and answering the questions of why and how, what could that mean for you? So and for your problem solving process. So this is the question, and just reply to that and let us know of your opinion. All
right.
Okay, we have a few answers, so I will share the results. So hopefully all of you can see those. Can you see that?
Not yet.
33%, right? That's what it said.
Sorry?
33%, is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
Yes.
So this is the result. So Carla, since you can't see it for whatever reason, so the answers, so we have, it's interesting for each answer has been chosen. So we have 30% on the first answer, we have 33% on the second, and as well on the third answer. So therefore, you know, what has been conducted. However, so I can share my screen again so that you can see the results again and can comment them. Wait a second.
That's it.
So here we are. So
nice. Good.
Yeah. Here's the question, and these are the answers.
Yeah. So. Okay, good. These types of exercises that we did on the mural board, of course, can be done on a piece of flip chart paper, very simply drawing a box for the problem in the middle, and then whys on the top and some hows on the bottom. For this webinar series, we have a takeaway, which is a template of this why, how exercise, as well as a number of resources. I think there's one more slide that Roland's going to show us, where we'd like to make that available for you, and also to encourage you to try it out, and also to let us know if you have any questions. Also, after the webinar, we're more than happy to answer questions and to hear about your experiences using the why, how laddering. Our next webinar is on the 11th of March, and there we will also focus with on our question, and we're going to create a number of takeaways for you to use in a practical way as well. Thank you for your participation, Dirk and Dominic. It was great working with you. Thank you very much for sharing your time and your knowledge, and yeah, being courageous since you weren't exactly sure what we were going to be doing here today. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to continuing with the next webinar and digging a little bit deeper into these issues that affect so many people. Yeah, Roland, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it was interesting for me to follow this discussion as well, and I'm curious and excited about the next webinar, and of course, coming at the end of this webinar series, looking at the results and how they could be used to set up the project for developing solutions according to the requirements which have been identified. Okay, thank you.
Right.
See you next time.
All right.
And thank you both for your participants and your time. Highly appreciated. See you next time. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.